And I'm going to turn over my time and say thank you so much to Judge Capers. It's always my pleasure to see you.
Thank you. And I say the same thing with reference to you. It's always my pleasure to hear what you have to say and your viewpoint.
Thank
because
you.
you express the viewpoint of the people.
Thank you so much, Judge. So I'm going to leave all of you with this last word. We're going to have a great week this week, and I'm praying for everyone for their safety and protection. But I want to encourage all of you to try one thing. And this is just a try. We're going to try this. I want everyone to try to follow one of the great commandments, and that is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Okay? Your genuine self-worth is not diminished just because you love someone more than yourself. You're actually encouraged. So Miss Controversy wants to tell you, please keep your head up and have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next time. A lot of different things that for all of us that are thinking people, we have to take one thing at a time. So today, what I want to talk to, and I want to open this up for our listeners if you want to join our conversation, because what I'm going to talk about is Black empowerment. Okay, what does it mean to be empowered? Judge, what do you think about being empowered? What does that mean for the Black community?
It means getting education and applying it and having the source of your education, a credible source, one in which you truly believe because you have researched the source yourself from where it comes.
Exactly. And so it's taken just from what the judge said, how can we empower ourselves? And that is through education. And this is what's so unfortunate and is happening to the Black community. So I'm going to quote the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan right now. The 21st century Black empowerment is totally in the hands of the Black community. No other group or individuals hold power over our own dreams. If any young Black American knew all of their history, it would create a pride and a passion for greatness. And unfortunately, we don't see this in the Cleveland community. More and more every day, all the time, day and night, we're hearing about different things and issues happening in the Black community, the Black on Black crime, and this negativity and this hostility that we exert towards each other has got to stop. And I'm just feeling that today, or talking about Black empowerment and how do we empower ourselves. So I just want to encourage our listeners just to try one thing. We want to try to eradicate the N-word among our people so that we can have pride with each other. How does that sound?
It'll never happen.
Okay, why don't you think it'll ever happen?
Well, I won't say it will never happen, but I will say until the rap game stop using the N-word, it'll never happen. Okay. Because it is the rap game, the young, that influence that they use this N-word like it's cotton candy until they stop it. Listen, I can stop it, you can stop it, the leaders can stop it, but until the young rappers stop the game, the N-word will never stop.
And I'm so glad you said that, because this proves my point completely. That word, that N-word, as the young people apply it to themselves, represents all the negativity of everything that word represents. And when individuals and groups of people refer to themselves in this way, it lessens their self-esteem. So how can I have self-esteem or respect for myself or a passion for my own community when I think of myself as an N-word? So you prove my point completely.
No, I didn't, because the young people, the ones they use it, they say it empowers them.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to keep it real with you.
Okay.
They say it empowers them, and so they got all kind of excuses why they use it.
Okay.
But I completely agree with you. But I'm telling you that it will never happen until the young rapper. If the young rapper stopped saying it tomorrow and came up with another word, the N-word would be over. The same way with pulling your pants up. If the young rappers start pulling their pants up tomorrow, that game would be over. But until they start pulling their pants up, forget about it.
Okay, but here's my whole point about education. people that are educated understand and realize that they don't have to emulate people that are rappers or people that are not pulling their pants up just because it's cool. You know, education, if you are an educator, let me tell you something. Education teaches you to be an individual because you have the strength and the knowledge to understand what that represents. That's why people that are knowledgeable and they understand what that represents, they won't emulate ignorance. That's what I'm saying. Emulating ignorance is stopping Black empowerment. Our listeners, just let's talk about that. Let's talk about Black empowerment. What do we need to do? How do we handle our business on the political front? We got all of this stuff happening in Cleveland, but I don't even see a lot of Black people being included in that. And once again, we're being left out of the equation. Okay.
Really and truly. But really and truly, who has the most impact over the children today? The parents or social media or the rap game? Talk to me.
It should be the parents.
It should be, but I'm just asking you a question. I'm just saying.
But when the parents let all of those other influences change the mindset of their own child,
yes, ma'am,
then the parent is at fault. So if the value system and the things that the children see, hear, and pay attention to is not dictated by the parent, then you grow up with a bunch of kids that have no self-respect, no dignity, and then they want to know why they're not, moving forward. This whole problem with Black empowerment, it really starts at the very beginning with the mind and how people perceive their thoughts and concepts. So.
Right,
okay, let's open up the phone line.
Okay, yeah. Who's on the line? Who's on the line? Talk to me.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, my name is.
Back to what I was saying, and I'm glad that's opened up this conversation because the Black empowerment again begins just like what Judge Caper said, and we talked about this at the beginning, is education. And as we come into this new millennium, it's people that don't know how to use computers like Art here.
That's right.
And he's basically crippled.
I am.
As we move forward with this modern technology, if you do not understand what's happening, you will become crippled in this society. So education is the key.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
Back in the day, there were people that couldn't read.
Yes.
All right. But they were able to make great gains. Let me tell you, like some of the construction people, like Eli and some of they were able to build these great buildings, tear them down. And I know this guy named Mr. Hodge, the building I used to have the shop in. He could not read, but when it came to construction and building and doing that work,
bricklayers and artists,
he was a genius.
Right.
So I'm only saying that it reminds me, by me being computer illiterate,
mm-hmm.
it reminds me of the man that Mr. Hodge that couldn't read. It reminds me of that. Okay, so I got to get.
We remember, Ms. Controversy remembers the hard-working Black people that did all this kind of physical work. But here's my question. So what happened after this brother after he built something and built the whole building? When he went home to his children, he couldn't even sit down and read them a book. And that is where that problem just hits home for me. Kiki, come on, let's take another call. Hi, you're on the air.
Praise God. This is Brother J.R.
Hi, brother.
Hi, brother.
Hey. Yes, indeed. First, I'd like to say hello to the Honorable Judge Capers, and
Thank you.
I bless God that she's 103 years old.
Yes.
Uh,
Praise the Lord.
Blessing, and I thank you for that history course that we had with her. And in terms of Black empowerment, the most thing that we should be focusing on now is this election coming up.
I
We
agree.
should be finding out if there's a lot of people that's registered to vote, because there's a lot of people that's not going to vote, thinking that that's going to make a difference if they just don't vote. No, I think that we should be trying to be on a registration drive, and we should definitely finding out what these new voter laws is and talking about all this situations that matter in Black empowerment.
I
And so
agree
I
with
just
you.
want to say
Well-
thank you for your.
Well,
Thank you,
I
Chad.
do not agree with you all at all. If you all are going to beg and do the break dance and the hully gully for these politicians, you all are out your mind. That's
Okay,
not
what
really
do you-
empowering.
what do
The
you-
really
no, no, no.
empowerment is black businesses in our neighborhood, so our dollars don't keep going out our neighborhood at one time. And so our dollar circulates in our neighborhood. That's empowerment. Y'all want to kiss these politicians
Okay,
behind?
nobody's gonna kiss nobody.
Listen, I agree.
Brother.
We need to vote. We need to vote, and our turnout is not worth nothing. So I agree with you on that point. But if you think that's going to really get us empowerment, then you're out of your mind, because we got a black mayor, we got black councilmen, we got black this, black that, and look at our community. So you better get some common sense today, Ms. Controversy, or we're going to have some problem.
Okay, I understand what you're saying as far as having the black people in situations of power. We even have our wonderful black president, Barack Obama. But here's the point. I'm not talking about the leaders. The leaders are operating and representing the people.
All
Okay?
right, you talking heavy.
What I'm talking about is the empowerment of the people in the community. I don't care what mayor you have.
Talk to me then.
If the community is not doing what they're supposed to do.
All right, talk
Okay.
to me. Talk to me.
And that speaks to the community we were just talking about, the community of East Cleveland. You got a whole community of over 21,000 people, and only 11,000 people got jobs. So please don't tell me what about empowerment if nobody is working. I don't care if you have all kind of black people in government. If nobody in the community is educated enough to even have a job.
So you think empowerment is working?
No, I said empowerment is education.
Is that what you're telling me?
Are you listening?
I am listening.
Okay, I
you understand?
said
for years we
empowerment-
believed that empowerment was working,
Brother-
and where did it get us?
Brother, I said
Now I'm not saying
true
that
black
I wouldn't like a
empowerment-
job myself.
True black empowerment will come when the black community realizes the real power within themselves. Number one, socially. Number two, economically. And number three, politically. That's what Miss Controversy said.
All right, and speaking
2
of
minutes.
and speaking of politically,
Yes.
we have someone on the live line. Who's on the live line?
My man Art is Cleveland City Councilman Zach Reed.
Cleveland City Councilman Zach Reed. Yes, sir. What did you call the #1 station in the land for, Zach Reed?
So we talked about earlier. Oh yeah, we got a situation. We got a big time situation, Art. And the situation for you, the people in your studio and your listening audience is tomorrow at 12 o'clock, Kevin J. Kelly, Council President, is bringing Judge John P. Donnell to Cleveland City Council Democratic Caucus, and in my firm belief, to seek the endorsement of the Cleveland City Council. And I can tell you that myself, Councilman Kevin Conwell, Councilman Jeff Johnson, and Councilman T.J. Dow have already said, both publicly and privately, that we are boycotting that caucus. We are not going to the caucus tomorrow at 12 o'clock at Cleveland City Council to lend any support to Judge John P. Donnell for he's running for the Supreme Court, the highest court in the state of Ohio. And it was done, we didn't even know until I asked the question who was coming to caucus. So it was done in secret. It was done in the back rooms in the hopes that we be there, take pictures, hear him have his comments. Now, for those who don't know who Judge Donnell is, he is the judge who oversaw the Brelo case, who used technical, legal here or there to say that Brelo could be set free. Now, whether you believe his life was in danger or here or there, first of all, 137 shots. But once Brelo jumped on that car and shot down and reloaded and the whole lights, to me, that took away his defense of self-defense, that he was fearing for his life and he needed to help his other colleagues. Because when you jump on top of the car and bullets flying everywhere, you just basically say, I'm going to kill these son of a guns. And that's what I believe he did. And I believe Judge Donnelly knew it. but he knew he was going to be running for judge, and therefore he shouldn't get a pass.
And so we need to give him the same treatment we gave McGinty. Is that right?
McGinty, oh yeah, ain't no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when individuals look at our neighborhood for one reason and one reason only, and that's to seek our endorsement and to seek our vote. But once they are in positions of power to help and uplift our community, but they forget it, then you got to show them. If we don't have any other time to show them, we clearly have the opportunity at the ballot box. And that was the one thing. I mean, whether you like that Supreme Court or dislike the Supreme Court, at least the Supreme Court this past week upheld one vote, one person, one vote. So everybody's got one vote. Everybody's got that power to be able to cast that vote. And you saw what the black community did as it related to Tim McGinty against O'Malley.
Right.
And I'm saying that we need to show that same flex, that same muscle when it comes to Judge Donald.
Okay.
So Zach, you know that this is an anti-stance and it might get you in trouble. You willing to take that chance?
All right. You and I have been in trouble together before, right, Anthony?
That's right, sir.
so this ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, don't forget, I went down to the. See, I can do this because one, myself, Jeff Johnson, and Kevin Conwell, we actually sat in on the trial. We heard his explanation one-on-one. We didn't see it on television. We didn't hear no clip. We heard it one-on-one. So, and we went out there, and we've been on the front line. You and I have been on that front line before, and we're quite sure we'll be on that front line again. At the end of the day, right is right, and wrong is wrong. And my opinion is, it's not fair, it's not right for us to endorse somebody who, in my opinion, had the ability to provide justice in the 137 shots, and he chose not to.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to send a message. I think I heard right before you took my call, what you were talking about in East Cleveland and the empowerment of the African-American community.
That's right.
We've got to start looking at our community the same way the other nationalities, the same way other ethnic groups look at their community, in a way that lets people know we're not going to be treated as stepchildren.
Right.
We're not going to be treated as second-class citizens. And you're not going to only be able to come to us during our vote and only during election time. And then once you get elected, and when a judge gets elected for 4-6 years. Sometimes you may not see a judge for 6 years.
Right. Well, you know what?
So
I hope you get enough people with you on this and get enough information so people will know who this gentleman is. And though we might have read it in the paper, you know how people don't pay attention? So just like you said, you were actually there. You heard the comments of this judge. You heard what he was capable of, how he spun everything in the Brelo case. So I hope that you can get more of the word out there so people will know what this judge did and what he's capable of.
Not only,
well, I think it's also more than that, though. And that's why I appreciate when I called Art earlier today and he allowed me to come on the show. We would not even know that he was even coming to Cleveland City Council because Council President Kevin Kelly did not even put it on the calendar. In most cases, what happens is they let you know that we're having a caucus and who is going to attend the caucus. Well, until I asked the question, we did not even know that he was even coming. So you can see when things like that happen, it's something, it's a funny, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, then it's probably a damn duck. Right. And that's what happened in this case. I mean, for us not to even know, and the calendar comes out on Wednesday.
Wow.
And for us not to know that you are bringing this man, and that's my concern. It's the insensitivity of a council president that would not even ask the council members, how do you feel about this?
Is it required?
We could be in a room, we could be taking pictures with this individual.
Right.
You could be doing photo ops, and then at the end we have this thing called the unit rule, where you actually have to vote for this person or get thrown out of the caucus.
Wow.
So it's, he didn't bring O'Malley over, and he didn't bring McGinty over because he understood how contentious that would be. So why wouldn't you understand the contentious of a judge that let a man jump on top of a car and shoot two people who didn't have a gun.
Right. And we only got about 20 minutes left, so if anybody wants to give us a call, 216-578-1490. The only thing I wanted to say, one other thing, Art, is I just wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
If you've been reading the paper, have you noticed all of the people that are dying from these heroin and fentanyl overdoses? They had like 12 people die in 4 days.
You're trying to get me in trouble.
I know I'm not trying to get you in no trouble, but I just want to hear your take on this because, see, I got some strong opinions about this also.
You're trying to get me in trouble.
And let me tell you something, because I remember the 70s. I remember New York City. I remember Cleveland. And the prevalence of heroin addiction in the black community was so devastating. I would say it was almost worse than the cocaine epidemic. Okay, because people just couldn't recover from that. But the way that they're portraying it in the media,
but I'm gonna keep your thought. But they didn't give out no
They didn't give no antidotes out to the black community. They didn't give people supply the policemen, supply the ambulance drivers with anti-overdose kits when people in the black community was dying from overdoses.
They didn't give it up, did
they? They didn't give nothing. And you know what? And I just got a little angry about it.
Well see, you're trying to bring it out of me and get me in trouble.
Okay,
really,
don't get in no trouble.
Really and truly, I'm going to make a statement, but before I make it, I want to say this to you, Miss Controversy. You, myself, or nobody in this studio, whoever is addicted and whoever dies, listen, it's a tragedy. Whether they're suburbanites or whatever nationality, we plead for their family and we love them. We show all the love in the world.
That's right.
So this is not about hating on those that are devastated by this heroin addiction.
Right, and we also want to say that here at the Art McCoy University Radio Show that we encourage any listener that's having any kind of issue, call 211. First call for help. Please don't say I don't know what to do or where to go. It's a phone call. It's even better than 911 because somebody's going to help you. They will get you the resources that you need to deal with these issues. Now, back to that. Art, you being on the front line of this and seeing and remembering see, people now, they so young, they act like they don't remember nothing. But they don't remember the devastation in the black community or these heroin overdoses. I can't believe it.
Miss Controversy.
Yes, sir.
If you read history, it'll tell you that somewhere in the plan during the Black Panther era, there was a plan on this boat. And they said, hey, we know how to stop this. Bring this heroin into the black community. And that's the era you're talking about it. Yeah. It devastated the black community, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. So, and since that time, they've been devastating the black community, right?
Right.
Okay, so here's my point. My point is this. Look, by this time around, they devastated the black community with crack. Their goal, and listen, what I'm saying is has nothing to do with 1490, its sponsors, or the station. This is me talking, all right? And here's what I'm saying. Listen, right now, they said we ain't gonna never let the black community get back together because every time they get off something, we're gonna put them on something else. Mm-hmm. And we've watched this, all right? So they were almost off crack, except the diehards, so they said we're gonna put this heroin back in the community. But the problem is,
we didn't take that bait.
Sister, you're on it. We didn't take that bait, and I praise the black community as a whole for not taking that bait.
Right.
The young people didn't take it, and only a few of those old diehards that think that want to die of heroin took it. But as a whole, we didn't take it.
Right.
So my point, and this is where I get in trouble at, because I refer back to Malcolm X when he says that the chickens
have come home to roost. Okay.
And do you understand what I'm saying?
Of course I do. The very thing that they tried to do to us is right there in their own community.
Lord, you're heavy
killing people off. I mean, they
Lord
said 12 people died in 4 days.
You're heavy.
So they must have got a really bad batch.
You're heavy.
But not to disregard anybody that is suffering from a drug addiction.
That's right, baby.
And this is what I'm talking about. When people need help, this is the first thing everybody say, what do I do? Where do I go? Well, Miss Controversy is here to tell you right now on the Art McCoy University Radio Show, there is a resource right here in Cleveland. 211. First call for help. They have so many resources of information, places you can go, people you can talk to. So you know what? We can't make no more excuses for people.
Because I keep it real on the Art McCoy University Radio Show. Do you realize that at one time I was a heroin addict?
No.
Yeah.
Not you.
By the grace of God.
By the grace of God.
By the grace of God, I stand here today to testify.
Thank you.
That if I can get off of it,
Everybody
can.
can. I agree with that. And again, if people need help, you could go to first call for help to call 211. But what I'm talking about is the disparity and the difference in how the powers that be, how the media, how they had a meeting trying to discuss, what can we do to help people from not overdosing on this heroin. They never had no meetings about us in our community. They
Absolutely.
never had no meetings. They didn't form no drugs to help stop the overdoses. That's what I'm really trying to talk about. But I don't have to talk about it to you because you know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Education.
I want to lead you into something that Brother Ted always says.
What?
He says that God is in control.
Yes.
God is in control. So they tried to put the devastation on us again. God is in control. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want that to be clear that God is in control. I'll give you another example of God being in control. Brother Ted, bringing on my spirituality. When it come to the Republican convention,
Mm-hmm.
the city, all this 50 million and all this money you see they was gonna spend, their goal, and they had geared up to spend it on black rioting and the Tamir Rice and 137. They had all said that blacks were the one that was gonna riot.
Yes.
God is in control. Who they talking about rioting now?
The doggone Republicans. You know,
White folks,
the
right?
White folks, yeah.
They're talking about white folks in the riot, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it shifted from black folks rioting, which they keep trying to put that on us.
Right.
No one will know when a riot happens. It'll just happen. But the fact of the matter is, I'm just telling you,
Well, actually,
God is in control.
prior to Donald Trump making his comments or during his campaign and talking about that there will be rioting, prior to that, don't you remember the Cleveland powers that be saying that they needed more riot gear?
Yeah.
And they needed tanks and they needed this, that, and the other in anticipation of, unrest.
Yeah.
But as soon as Donald Trump said, oh, no, we gonna riot, they said, no, we probably won't have any of that. We're not going to be needing any of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a funny thing, and this is the world we're living in right now. But here's what I want to urge people to do. They really need to start paying attention and listening to these different politicians, because do you know who I just heard, and I didn't understand until I heard Cruz. Did you hear some of this stuff this man been saying?
Porter like him.
He like him.
I don't like him.
See,
Porter
I got
like
a problem with that.
Porter
Do you
like
know
him.
this man said he want to send off a bomb to Iraq or Iran and turn that sand into glass? I was like, what? I don't even know. He probably won't even comment on this. Mr. Porter ain't gonna say nothing to me because I don't want to get too political, because we do not endorse nor support any candidates here at
That
the
is
Art
true.
McCoy
That is
University
true.
Radio Show. I'm just saying, did anybody hear what this man said? That was a scary thing for me, because what that means is that he is prepared to annihilate a race of people without any concern about the innocent people, the children, or people don't have anything to do with anything. And that came out of his mouth.
Well, you could use this. Mr. Porter could use the same argument about Brother Trump. If for some reason he's silent today, but we could use the same argument about Brother Trump if
That is absolutely
if he cared to. But I can't get a word out of him, so I'm gonna move on.
Yeah, we're going to leave that alone because we do not nor endorse nor support any particular candidate.
All right. So while we're talking about politics for a moment,
Okay.
Bernie Sanders, you paying any attention to
Oh,
him?
yes. And I like Bernie Sanders.
I do too.
This is, I can say that because he's my candidate. And, you talk about learning something or trying to understand what policies or particular thoughts that these candidates have. This is the only person that really said things so that I could understand them. I think he reaches people if they really listen. The problem is that it's just been so much hype about these other candidates. really Mr. Sanders hasn't had an opportunity to really reach as many people, but I think his time is coming, and it's going to be like a snowball rolling down a hill. As people say, hey, is this what he's talking about? His policies, what he, his plan for the country, for the future.
Miss Controversy.
What?
You've just been banned from the Woman Liberation Society. You know you're supposed to be for a woman. What is wrong with you?
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know what? We don't support people just because of their gender, their race, or whatever. We should support people based on how they would best represent us. And that's what's up with that.
No doubt about it. And when you talk about representation,
Yeah.
Miss Controversy, we're going to almost have you stay for a whole show, which is very unusual.
Hey, you know what? I got to go.
No, you're not going nowhere. Yes, that's too late.